within the Tea Party ranks that this doesn't suit their fancy. So if you had to handicap it, where do you think it stands?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that.
Right.
You know, I think it's still in a tough spot, but I think more likely than not this gets done in the next, I don't know, 24, 36, 48 hours. Usually it takes intense pressure of the moment to get an outcome in Congress, and this is probably not an exception.
All right, would the pressure come from markets that tank if it looks like it's pushing to the last second?
It could.
Yeah.
That could be one source. It's very hard to predict how the markets will react to this. The bond market has been remarkably stable throughout this entire time.
It really has.
In fact, bond prices are much higher today, and at the close on Friday than they were in January and February of this year. Equities have been a little more volatile, and we had a sell-off last week, although not that much when you compare to the run-up it had the previous week. So it's very hard to infer
well, maybe
much.
They've been factoring in blithely that a deal would be made, Senator. So shorter-term interest rates have been a lot more volatile, the ones that would hinge on a deal being made. Should they be concerned?
Here, I think what markets are most concerned about is actually not the timing of an exact deal and August 2nd so much as whether we are working constructively to solve the underlying problem. That's more important than anything else. We are in a completely unsustainable position today, if you ask me, with a debt to GDP ratio of 70% and on a path to hit 100% in the relatively near future. This is completely unsustainable. And if we don't fix that fundamental dynamic, then we're going to be punished severely at some point by the markets.
I talked to a Tea Party leader a couple of days ago, Senator, who was saying, we will remember how they vote, we will remember what they do. It sounded very threatening. Do you feel threatened?
You know, I don't look at it that way, Neil. You know, I've been very clear when I was campaigning, and ever since then, I've got two big criteria. I want to see immediate cuts in spending so that we start making some progress, and I want to see some structural reforms so that we can get our debt to GDP ratio in a place that's sustainable. It's not now. And we won't have strong economic growth and job creation until we solve this fiscal problem.
But if you've got the progressives, I know, more liberal in their thinking, right, in the House particularly, saying this doesn't cut it with us, 75 members strong, that's virtually guaranteeing you have very little Democrat participation in whatever deal is accorded. Now, not necessarily. Right. And then you have a number of Tea Partiers, right, who don't want to concede much in the House, maybe you know, exacerbating things for Speaker Boehner. That would seem to imply a wall here.
My guess, and it's just a guess at this point, Neil, we haven't seen the details, and,
right,
and it could still be in flux, but my guess is what finally passes probably passes without the left wing of the Democratic Party and without the more conservative members of the Republican Party. But excluding those two, you can still get to 218 in the House, and my guess is that's where this ends up.
All right, Senator, thank you very, very much. Always good seeing you.
Thanks.
I know you have a long night tonight. We're just getting word here as we were speaking to Senator Toomey that this Senate Democrat meeting has been postponed.